Hello, my name is Robemar Bolivar. Today, I'll be discussing bilingualism and executive functioning, focusing specifically on working memory and conflict resolution. I'll be presenting two empirical studies that examine whether managing two languages improve cognitive control systems. The broader question guiding both of these studies is whether bilingual experiences enhances executive control processes. Now, before we start, I would like to refresh some cognition concepts. Executive function are the mental skills that help us control attention, behavior, and decision making. Working memory is the ability to hold and use information in the moment. Conflict resolution is the ability to ignore distractions and choose the correct response. Language selection and inhibition is choosing one language while suppressing the other. The theoretical idea behind bilingual advantage research is that bilingual individuals constantly need to select one language while inhibiting the other. Because both languages remain active in the brain, this ongoing management may improve executive control networks. The two articles I selected test this idea in different ways. One focuses on working memory development in children, and the other examines attentional control and conflict resolution in adults. The first article I'm going to explain is called Working Memory Development in Monolingual and Bilingual Children. This study examined whether bilingual children outperform monolingual children on working memory tasks, particularly when those tasks require executive control. The authors predicted that bilingual children would show stronger performance under higher executive demands. This study used a between groups design comparing bilingual and monolingual children. The independent variable was a language group, and the dependent variable were accuracy and reaction time on working memory tasks. The children completed tasks that vary in executive control demands. For example, some conditions require simple storage of information, while others require both storage and conflict management. These tasks measure working memory because they require temporarily holding and manipulating information. When conflict is added, executive control becomes necessary to manage interference. As shown in these simplified graphs, bilingual children perform similarly to monolingual children under low demand conditions. However, under high demand conditions that require more executive control, bilingual children show a stronger performance. The primary finding was that bilingual children outperform monolingual children, and this suggests that bilingual advantage is not simply about memory capacity, but about the ability to manage interference and regulate attention. The authors interpreted this as evidence that bilingual language experience may improve executive control systems, which then support working memory performance. The second article I'm covering is called Bilingualism Aids Conflict Resolution, Evidence from the A&T Task. This study examined bilingual experience enhance attentional control, especially in conflict resolution. This task was measured during attentional networks, alerting, orienting, and executive control. The hypothesis was that bilingual adults would show better executive control, specifically smaller conflict events on incongruent trials compared to monolingual. This experiment was also a between groups design comparing bilingual and monolingual adults. The independent variable was language group. The dependent variables were reaction time and accuracy across different task conditions. In the A&T, participants respond to a target arrow surrounded by distractor arrows. In congruent trials, all arrows point in the same direction. In incongruent trials, the surrounding arrows point in the opposite direction, creating conflict. Incongruent conflict monitoring because participants must suppress distracting information. As is shown in this graph, bilingual participants demonstrated smaller reaction time differences between congruent and incongruent trials. This means they experienced lower conflict costs. The results showed that bilingual adults performed faster overall and had better executive control efficiency. Specifically, they were better at resolving conflict and showed stronger alerting responses. The authors argue that constantly selecting one language and inhibiting the other may train attentional control systems. This provides further support for the idea that bilingual experience enhances executive control processes. When we look at both studies together, we see a consistent pattern across development. In children, bilingualism was associated with stronger working memory performance under higher executive demands. In adults, bilingualism was associated with stronger conflict resolution and attentional control. These findings provide empirical evidence supporting a bilingual advantage in executive functioning. However, it is important to frame this carefully. The advantage appears to be task-dependent. It emerges most clearly when tasks require inhibition, conflict monitoring, or cognitive control. This suggests that bilingualism may not enhance all cognitive abilities equally, but may specifically improve executive systems under higher cognitive demand. Some limitations and future directions that we can take from these articles is that although this study supports bilingual advantages, this broader literature is mixed. Some studies have failed to replicate these findings, and factors such as socioeconomic status, language proficiency, and immigration background may influence results. Additionally, effect sizes are often modest. This means these findings are meaningful and they should be interpreted cautiously. In conclusion, these studies provide strong evidence that bilingual experience is important and it enhances control systems. Managing two languages appears to strengthen processes such as inhibition, conflict resolution, and working memory under demanding conditions. Rather than viewing bilingualism as creating global cognitive superiority, the evidence suggests a more specific enhancement of executive control mechanism. This highlights how everyday cognitive experiences and language management can shape core attentional and memory systems across development. These are my references. Thank you.